Yes, Cinder, a remix of Dark Souls 3 by Rotaka. Folks, you know what that song means.
Oh, yes.
I sure do.
Oh, it's Friday night, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on call.
I mean, it means other things, of
Yeah.
course, too.
Yeah, but it's the best Friday of the month.
That is the best Friday of the month. The
well,
best Friday.
well,
That might change, actually.
we'll
It is
reevaluate in a week.
That is true.
Yeah, it is my favorite Friday of the week at the very least.
Yes,
It is the best Friday of the week,
Yeah.
after all.
indeed. I'm on call. I have no drink.
Oh,
I'll steal this one.
Womp
Haha. It's
See,
fine.
I brought that in here thinking that you might want some.
Oh.
So you're welcome to it.
Well, that's news to me.
Take that.
Hey,
Us,
hey,
Go
Instagram.
right ahead.
Hey.
What? What?
Good segue. Don't take that. Take this. Take this.
Take
Our
this.
charity.
Right.
We will be doing Super Stigma Slam 2018 over 5 through 7 October with at least 8 other people right now, which is pretty sweet.
Mhm.
So, yes, Take This is the charity that we are going to be benefiting, I guess, this time around, and
Correct, yeah.
they will provide mental health resources to those who need it. So go check them out, takethis.org. That was a great segue into that, and now we can do housekeeping.
We never actually introduced the episode.
Huh?
It's
Round 59!
Yeah,
Analog,
exactly.
analog.
There we
Spelled
go.
differently because I learned them differently for the different definitions, but apparently they can all be spelled the same way.
I think they are interchangeable, yes. That's kind of a mind fuck when I read
yeah.
about that as well.
Yeah.
But as I was setting up all of my streaming stuff with my bazillions of cables, like the girth is that much for that big bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The girth is like dis anyway. Yeah, I was just like, lots of analog. Let's make a pun on it, or
Yeah.
rather wordplay even at this point. So, yes, round 59 is analog, which also kind of means that I'm about to start streaming again if I can get my shit together.
Get your shit together.
I
Yeah.
plan on it. I found some really cool, how do I describe, like tutorials and whatnot on how to use raw capture from a console right into a data path and
Ooh.
have it look good.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Okay.
intriguing. And there's like 3 different tutorials that I found that are totally different. One of which is a paid product that you linked to on Vogons. The author has not gotten back to me yet.
Oh, yeah.
2 is the web page that I found for from the Tetris the Grandmaster community was like, hey, we can do all this shit. Try this. And then I found yet another one that Eon just sent me that was another totally separate TGM bunch of folks. But apparently you can use AV Synth and you tell it like, hey, I want to use this as my input device. I want to apply these filters. Let's do some bicubic resampling to make it bigger.
Mhm.
And you can actually expose its own direct show filter so that you can use that as a source in OBS.
Oh.
Instead of having to do window capture, it's really neat.
Hmm.
So I'm going to try it out and we're going to see how it goes. But I still have a lot of shit to get together. However, my desk, it currently has a gigantic new piece of equipment. It's my 20-inch BVM.
Ooh, yeah, that thing. Like, how much does that thing weigh?
I'm going to guess like 100 pounds.
I'm guessing it
It
took
is-
the both of you to elevate that up.
No,
to
it
that
was just
surface.
Eon.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't what.
I mean, lift up your legs. Whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to swap one of my actual displays out and not the BVM, my flat screens, because I discovered that my secondary monitor is 4K 30. Fuck that. So, yeah, if I'm not using
Womp womp.
DisplayPort, HDMI is like, well, the spec on this monitor is only 1.4, so that's all you get. And I'm like,
So
Yeah.
why couldn't you use DisplayPort on that monitor then?
I
instead.
initially wanted to put everything through the HDMI matrix, and I was like, well, if I'm going to have to plug a special
right.
cable in anyway, why not get a better monitor over here?
Yeah.
I'm going down in resolution, but I'm going way the hell up in refresh rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 is no good.
We're using some kind of Acer monitor that we just happen to find on...
A different one.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
so we
'Cause the
just
one I'm
happen to find it
replacing is
on,
old.
on
Okay,
sale.
Right.
And so I will say, this is my first experience with 144 hertz. It is kind of amazing, even for like non-gaming stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
I know.
I will say, if I'm gonna twist your arm a little bit, Newegg has them on sale for $280 right now
Ugh.
with it's a $20
Yeah.
off promo code. But yeah,
I know. I've been kind of looking at getting a new primary for like the past 2.5 years or something, but then it's like, well, then there's this new tech, and then there's this new tech.
Yeah.
And
in
then...
all honesty, though, if we're gonna be, well, I guess we'll talk about next Monday, GeForce's event at Gamescom. They're going to Shocker. At this point, everybody knows.
Yeah.
They're going to announce the RTX series, which replaces the GTX series as it includes ray tracing technology. However, the big thing that I didn't know until today was that their plan is to release both the 2080 and the 2080 Ti at the same time.
Interesting.
Ooh.
I did hear a little bit about that, and I'm like, that sounds a little dubious, but apparently
Well,
that's a thing. huh?
Apparently on videocardz.com, they actually have packaging from third-party vendors and their PCBs and their promo photos and stuff of all of their new shit with all the custom cooling and all that. And they also have PCB diagrams that have been verified by several sources for the reference models. It's a thing.
Jeez.
So I'm hearing $649 for the 2080 and $799 for the 2080 Ti.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's the same, well, very
it's
close to
not.
the same
Yeah.
price as the 10 series was.
Yeah.
Oy.
So the 10 series Ti model, I think, was $699 or $799. I can't remember now, but it's roughly the same price. But performance-wise, holy shit.
Yeah, it outstrips the Titan cards, doesn't it? The current gen Titan cards.
Well, the new King is supposedly going to be the Quadro 6000 series,
Gosh,
or maybe there's a.
I mean, you got to think the 10 series has been out long
Tesla.
enough. I mean, they should definitely have a market improvement in, like
Oh yeah.
performance.
I'm sure there's going to be
They've
a
had
Tesla
plenty of
Titan.
time.
I had to think of Tesla as the new architecture,
Yeah.
and Tesla Titan's just really pleasing to say. So I'm sure that's going to happen, but I did see that the Quadro 6000 is going to reign supreme, at least on these charts that I've been looking at.
And that's already out. Yeah, that's the.
No,
No?
supposedly
I
that's
thought it
going to
was.
also use the Quadro RTX.
Really?
No, it's the Quadro. Yeah, it's the Quadro
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
RTX 6000.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking like they have a P6000, which is pretty powerful as it is.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
this
that's what I was
is
Yeah.
this is going to be its own thing.
Okay.
But holy heck, like their reason supposedly for introducing this at Gamescom is because also there's going to be new video monitors being discussed at the same time, and I may have mentioned this last time, but 4K 144 hertz is supposedly a possibility with these new monitors.
That is wild. Holy cow.
And I'm going to say this. So current HDMI spec, even 2.0A, moving up to 2.1, whatever, it doesn't have the bandwidth for that,
No, only DisplayPort 2 with display stream compression does.
which is curious because these third-party products that I've seen have an additional connector in the back.
Huh.
Beyond DisplayPort and HDMI, they have a USB-C connector.
Huh.
So they could be using that for DisplayPort, the new DisplayPort spec that uses USB-C or USB 3.1A.
And not Thunderbolt or anything else proprietary above that, huh?
Well, I mean, Thunderbolt can still use the same connector too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can use that USB-C connector.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And there's monitors that support that, which will cough supposedly be announced on Monday, along with these cards. And what I've heard is that these 144 hertz 4K monitors are going to be around $2,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Give it 2 years.
Yeah. 2
no,
years.
No,
and-
no, for real.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
Yeah, I
this
know.
shit started well above $1,000.
Yeah.
And now that AK is going to be a thing very shortly, this generation of cards will support AK 60 and supposedly higher.
It is incredible, like how fast even 4K gaming has become affordable.
That's true. It wasn't even really a thing a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to get this new monitor installed despite it not being 4K. I will live with that because
Yeah.
1440p still looks really nice.
It does.
At 144 hertz, I know of one game that I care about so far that supports that, and it's Final Fantasy 15. It's going to be really curious to see if I can actually capture that, because I would probably have to do window capture. So,
Why?
because none of my hardware can capture 144 hertz,
Fair
I
enough.
would probably have to do
Oh, I
window
suppose
capture.
you're not doing it on the same machine you're playing on. That's right.
So, well, no, I would be doing it on the same machine I'm playing it on. That's the problem. I can't just feed, hey, it's going through my HDMI matrix. Oh, look, it's going to totally downsample it from 144 to
Right.
60. That's magic. No, that's not happening.
You say window capture, and I think, okay, there's a difference between that and screen capture and OBS.
Well, there is.
There is
Yeah.
technically. but
Window
it's the
capture is
same,
per
roughly.
window. Screen capture
It's
is,
the
hey,
entire
look, it's your
display.
whole display.
Take
Yeah.
this frame buffer.
Which, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're playing in full screen, it's not going to be any different on the output, but
Well,
you probably
I
get better
understand.
performance if you do screen.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a whole lot of experimentation, and I'm probably going to give up. But I want to see what it looks like, even if I don't get to stream it. I don't care. I'll just play it, and I'll be like, oh my
You'll
God.
get to
Yeah.
replay it and replay it.
Oh,
and replay
well,
it.
yeah, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, there's a whole lot of really cool stuff happening, and yeah, I really got off on a tangent. But these were all news items, so I don't
Mhm.
feel too bad.
That's true. So as long as we're chugging through that list, if we get off on tangents, that's fine.
Fair enough.
Only
Uh,
vaguely shame on you.
Well, I'm gonna give up the I guess, what am I thinking of here? The grandstand, whatever, and
Soapbox.
let y'all
You're
yeah,
gonna
soapbox.
pass
everything.
Yeah.
the conch.
Yeah, why not?
I have the conch. Housekeeping. Round 60, 14th of September. that
Heck yeah.
Friday. Round 61,
Oh,
12th of October.
yeah, that's gonna be
Oh,
a lot to talk about.
That is going to be an interesting round, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be the post marathon, post wedding, post
Yep,
everything round,
Yep.
which is
yep.
fine. It's
Okay.
fine.
That's right.
I'm honestly not working a whole lot that week.
Well, I wouldn't expect so.
You know,
I don't know that we have 62 set up.
let's find out here.
We do not.
So that one looks like it's gonna be on the 16th.
16th sounds all right.
If we're
to
gonna
me.
stick right in the middle of the month like we've been trying to.
Yep.
Because we have 5 Fridays that month, which also means it's a bonus paycheck month if you're going every other week.
Ah, very well could be.
At least it is for us.
And then 63 looks like the 14th.
Let's verify that that's open. The middle of the month is actually really good. Let's do
Excellent.
that.
All right.
So we're set through the end of
that'll
2018.
set it for 2018.
Now that's gonna leave us with a
Theater
well, let's see
Rested
here.
Soul. Yeah, that's it for now. I don't want to get into 2019.
Oh,
'cause
I
that is
wouldn't either,
Many
no.
months away, and it'll be here sooner than we know.
But we'll start 2019 on round 64. That sounds right.
Yes.
Cool.
Correct.
Neato burrito.
All right, back to back to around the world now. More news. No Man's Sky next. The very recently released huge expansion to No Man's Sky, including quote unquote true multiplayer, blah 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 blah.
It's ignited a lot of interest.
It
Yeah,
sure
it's-
has.
it's
and
kinda
Bro
weird.
Sencha really likes it.
Oh, nice.
I've seen
Okay.
a lot of screenshots.
It's kind of cool, kind of seeing it grow from, like the really poor publicity that it had on release all the way up into, like, I don't know, it kind of seems to have really, caught on with the fan base.
Mm-hmm. Because everybody was fixated on multiplayer because
Yeah.
everybody heard what they wanted to hear and
Yeah.
whatever. So that's out. I've always been kind of interested in No Man's Sky, but I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But now I'm really interested in it.
Yeah,
And
why not?
I don't
Yeah.
even care about the multiplayer aspect of it, really. Because I know I'm going to probably run into, Queef Fart 69, the planet or something. So it's like, oh, all right, great. Glad I'm playing this game that's populated by a bunch of immature fucks.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so there's true multiplayer, third-person view, beefed up visuals. Obviously, we've already heard quite a bit of positive press about it, which is good. Plus, Sean Murray himself has kind of come out of hiding and has been giving more interviews about the whole thing as well, which is good. But those who hate him and hate the game will continue to hate him and hate the game. So
Yeah, I mean, some people have just kind of made their mind up, It's
Yeah,
not really changing
whatever.
that.
They can think whatever they want. They can fuck off too. So that's cool. AMD, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Oculus and Valve are working on a standard for VR connectivity over to USB-C. Yay, standard! It's about time. You should have done this years ago. Discord starts a closed beta testing for a game storefront that they're going to be curating. Yes, yeah, that was my reaction too. Was just like
Another one?
Well, I mean, Twitch did theirs, so Discord has to
Yeah.
do theirs.
Yeah, and they'll be having Nitro subscribers, free games for Nitro subscribers too. So it's a subscription based, whatever.
Yay.
Yeah, so we'll see how it
Kind of
goes.
like Twitch Prime Loot.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have competition in any space, so that's good. We'll see how it goes. Plus, Steam is pretty huge and kind of monopolistic for as far as game storefronts go.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have more options rather than less.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. There was at one point like just this crazy explosion of different storefronts. Like Uplay and Origin and all of these other things just kind of hit the scene at the same time. So it'll be kind of interesting to see like if what the overlap looks like. Because I think the big thing about Steam in particular is like Steam has the games, like they have the presence.
We have the meats.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
So I don't know.
Sorry,
it would be kind of
Arby's.
cool to see another storefront pop up that starts to kind of also enjoy the same kind of catalog, but we'll see.
Does Galaxy still exist?
It does. Galaxy is. It's kind of weird because it doesn't seem like they're trying to compete, with Steam at all. It's just essentially
No.
like we have a whole bunch of the games over at GOG that y'all don't have and probably won't. But
And here's another launcher for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I do
Good on
have
them.
both Steam and Galaxy installed though. It's
I should give that a try again. I
yeah.
think I downloaded it once and I had a grand total like 2 or 3 games on it. So like,
yeah.
meh.
Galaxy was not that great on launch. It's it definitely does not try to push the whole like community thing like Steam does. It's basically like, hey, we are a games storefront. Here's your library. Install the shit you want.
Which is fine. I should
Yeah.
be really excited for that because I hate all the Steam community
Yeah.
garbage. Like that's just oh hey, I'm online.
Yeah.
Your friends are online playing that. I don't give a fuck. I'm here to
Press
play
Shift
games.
Tab to
And I
open the
get-
Steam overlay.
No.
And they get
Shut
pinged
up.
by a bunch of people, and they're like, "Why aren't you ever on Steam?" And I'm like, "Because I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to you."
Yeah.
I mark that shit invisible
Offline,
all the
invisible,
time. Yeah.
whatever.
But then it
It's-
signs you back in, and I'm like, "This is
Yeah.
dumb."
No.
Getting really sick of this.
Effort.
Yeah, they
whatever,
did
yeah.
recently change that in Steam though, didn't they? They revamped their friends and chat thing, and it's
I
just
don't
like
know. I haven't signed in since the last marathon.
But anyways, a couple things about Bethesda here. First, the sort of good. Bethesda is allegedly taking a hard, quote-unquote, non-negotiable stance on cross-platform play with their release of The Elder Scrolls Legends on PS4. They state, and this is a quote from an Ars Technica article, every console version must offer, quote-unquote, full unrestricted cross-platform play.
Hmm.
Now, they didn't specifically name Sony, but we know who they're talking about.
Wow, some silent shade.
Yeah,
We
there-
and the
there's
rest
some-
of the industry, really.
There's some shots being fired all over the place
Oh,
here.
yeah.
So we all know about Sony, of course. We've talked about it several times in the show, about them being seemingly overly restrictive about opening titles for cross-platform play. Talked about Microsoft and Fortnite and maybe PUBG. I don't know. But now, Elder Scrolls, so this is starting to pile up a little bit
Yeah.
more now.
It's like not just shots fired, that's artillery.
Yeah, that's they're getting a whole carpet bombing going here. So
Something about the linear launcher.
a game
There's a
ruining
joke in
weapon.
there somewhere.
It's good.
No, it isn't. Shut up.
It's good when you earn it.
Yeah. That's true. But now the bad news about Bethesda, as if you need a reason to hate Bethesda,
Oh,
really.
well.
They are threatening a lawsuit against a seller on Amazon for allegedly listing a secondhand game as new.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got a skeleton to
so-
pick with those guys, so you know.
So yeah, first sale doctrine much? So
Hmm.
apparently that's the only issue they take with it is that because the seller listed it as new.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't exactly contact the seller, say, hey, mind if you should take this down? No, they're threatening a lawsuit right away. So
Yeah. They're just gonna
yeah.
outright sue him.
great, Bethesda. It's a real good stance to take there. That's
Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
them, pretty much. Oy. All right, that's what I got. Anything else?
Oh, there's tons.
More.
Well, I'll let you talk about World of Warcraft. I'll skip that one. But
Yeah.
Nintendo has moved to close several prominent ROM hosting websites, prompting much backlash from the internet
Mm-hmm.
and those passionate about preservation of software.
Mm-hmm.
Rip
I
Emu
know-
Paradise.
Yeah, among others.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was kind of the big one though in that list.
It was probably the least seedy,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my go-to.
which is kind of a triple entendre in a way because you don't
Wow.
need torrents for that. You literally had
There
direct
was
downloads.
direct downloads.
Yeah, they're not gonna curve anything. People will just take it underground, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it just sucks to have like the most legit one, quote unquote,
Yeah.
legit one. Now take all their stuff down.
Yeah. So we will see. And I'm still gonna advocate for ROMs. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck you, Nintendo.
Pirate my stuff. honestly, like if you want to play it and you can't afford it, just fucking pirate it.
Yeah.
I'd rather y'all have the
And
experience.
especially if, like, it's not being offered anywhere else, because a lot of those old games are an IP hell at the moment, and it's like you're never going to see a re-release of some of that stuff.
Well, yeah.
Or you're up to your
Ugh.
5th re-release of the original property, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
fuck. Just
Fuck
go
off,
It's like I already
Bethesda.
to the original, please.
I already paid
Go
for it
play
the first 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Nintendo has released many new details about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and also lots of people speculating what exactly that hidden mode in the game was.
Mm.
Somebody went so far as to actually interpolate a lot of different frames because it was staticky, and supposedly that hidden mode is spirit mode.
Enhance.
Indeed.
Enhance.
Just
show us
print
the
the
damn
damn
photo.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh, boy.
yeah, supposedly that's the thing, and we saw Luigi's soul get sucked from his body.
Yeah,
so,
people
Yeah.
were not happy about that, apparently.
Well, I mean, people weren't happy about Mario's skull getting crushed in
Right.
and Mega Man having a tail go through his
I
innards,
can't
but-
believe
also-
Luigi is dead.
no year
whatever.
of Luigi anymore.
Well, it's the year of Luigi's ghost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Luigi
it's true.
was number 1, and now is it? But that's
Well, I'm
fine.
sure he was trending for a bit, so he
Yeah.
probably was number 1.
Yeah.
for a
yeah,
bit.
yeah, fair. So we're gonna hear a buttload more stuff over this year, but I really kind of was hoping that they would stop doing public reveals of things and let us unlock characters and be excited.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
They might have some other characters that, like, few people have ever heard of to unlock after they're done, but
Yeah, like Kool-Aid Man and whatever. Super Saiyan Goku.
Well,
and-
yeah.
It has meant a resurgence of when is X unlocked for, or when is X for Smash or something. or
Oh
whatever
yeah,
the fuck
that
meme
that meme is
is.
old as time.
Ugh.
Song as old as time.
Yeah.
Whoa. Anyway. Moving on. NVIDIA, we already talked about. Needle Burrito. AMD, however, Threadripper 2.
Ooh.
Mm,
Yeah,
good
buddy.
shit. Good expensive
Mm.
shit.
Yeah.
Good less than half the price of comparable Intel hardware shit.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Enjoy buying those dual Xeons and the boards to support them.
Yeah.
That's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, exactly. So, Threadripper 2 enthusiasts have, as expected, gone hog wild with benchmarking and video rendering settings tips, etc., etc. Supposedly, somebody was able to get all 32 cores up to 6 gigahertz on LN2.
For real?
Christ.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
And, yeah. I like, hey, you know what? If Intel can do their bullshit benchmark shit with 5 gigahertz on liquid cooling, then why the fuck can't we? Except it wasn't first party.
Yeah.
However, those numbers, though.
Yeah,
Mm.
well, call me when it gets practical to do that.
Oh,
for a
absolutely.
consumer.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just bathe my innards of my computer in pure liquid nitrogen.
Yeah,
it's
you
fine.
can
Yeah.
just
It's not
sit there with
finite-
a fucking
Yeah.
keg of LN2.
I mean, it
Did
sounds
they-
like my kind of kegger, but
Oh, no. Why?
I understand. But
Wow.
yeah, what the hell else? I already mentioned this, but I'm probably gonna get back to streaming soon. Got some
Mhm.
Do it.
loyalty badges now.
Do it, you wimp.
I know, and I'm gonna replace my 3rd tier emote with something new.
Ooh.
Wait, that wasn't Tormod Lude, was it?
No,
Okay,
that was
good.
Tormod High. It's
Yeah.
boring.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So I'm keeping Tormod Hecht and Tormod Lude because they've become memes. It's the best.
Have they really?
Yeah, in
In-
Skystream
okay.
at least. So I'm gonna capitalize on that, which is exactly why my top tier loyalty badge is Mags, Magical
Yeah.
Sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just all works together. Who's gonna stay subscribed for 12 months, please? Thanks. So yeah. Anyway, I'll let you get on with the World of Warcraft, as I know
Yay.
you're squirming about it.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that one last because it's probably going to be the most significant. But
Gee.
yeah. So we'll start with this. Fallout 76 is not coming to Steam. Bethesda wants all of those distribution dollarinos, all of those. Yeah.
Big dollars.
So yeah, essentially, like they want to release it on their own distribution platform and not on Steam or pretty much anything else.
Shocking.
Yeah.
That's right. Fortnite's doing the same thing on the Google Play Store, or
Yeah.
rather, not on the Google Play Store. They're shoving their own APK.
Yep.
Are they though?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's That's Epic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Specifically to avoid the 30% cut of the Play
Yep.
Store.
You know,
So-
they've had their own storefront for like their own products for some time. So I mean, that's a bit less surprising, but still, dang it, like I kind of like.
Sorry. Dang it, Bobby.
I know, right?
Whoa. All right.
It just.
Speaking
You know,
of emos.
it's unfortunate that we keep having to install all of this extra crap that wants your attention because they're running sales all the damn time, and so yeah. So Fallout 76 not coming to Steam, Bethesda.net only.
But wait, but does Bethesda have their own little launcher distributor thing too?
They're going to if
Fuck.
they don't already. Yeah, it's only through Bethesda.net.
Oh boy, if only they had learned from Uplay
Yeah.
and Origin. Oh well.
Yup. So, yeah, so Intel, they're coming back with a discrete GPU.
Intel's back again.
Yep.
Anyway,
They haven't had a discrete like consumer GPU for maybe not 2 decades, but kind of close to that.
I was thinking close to 2
Mhm.
decades.
Yeah, the i740. Yeah, so that technology eventually like evolved into the built-in like HD graphics and stuff that we have in Intel processors these days.
Right.
But in 2020, they're gonna want to come out with a discrete GPU to kind of join the battlefield with NVIDIA and AMD. So that's gonna be very interesting. I imagine it's basically they're just gonna take their like HD graphics core and just like multiply it a billion times and then just stuff it on a
That's
card.
true.
So.
I mean, they do so supposedly say that their internal stuff can be scaled up massively or whatever. So okay.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll
if you
see.
think about it, like the like individual units that do all the computation, like NVIDIA's flagship cards are over like 3,500 compared to like Intel's 100 and some change, built in the processor. So
it's
who
gonna be
knows?
Close to. Never mind.
The CUDA cores and the
Yeah.
EUs and the whatever AMD
Now
measures.
the
in.
tracer units and all the
Compute
other
units.
stuff.
God, yes. It's just like,
Yep.
God, guys,
and
please.
absolute units.
Absolute units.
So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. They kind of did like this sort of reveal thing on Twitter. So yeah, in 2020 we'll see how that goes. Also, and I'm gonna get into some other games that are kind of more recent news. Forsaken EX, or is it X? I'm not really sure which way you're supposed to say
Is
that.
it capitalized?
It's written differently in every place that I checked.
Of course
so
it is.
no, I don't
damn
think
it.
anyone is really sure. But it is a remastered version of Forsaken, which is 6 Degrees of Freedom game that came out, I want to say like the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, something like that. So yeah, it's it already hit Steam. It actually hit Steam on the 31st. And it's already received a couple updates since. The reviews are positive, which makes me really excited. Yeah, so definitely check that out.
I'm trying. It won't let me.
I want it so bad.
I do. I
Oh.
want to see this, please.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh my.
Looks pretty.
The gameplay is supposed to essentially be the same. It's just basically huge graphics overhaul and performance and like high frame rates and whatnot. So
From the same underlying engine.
yeah, it's I kind of figured you might have some interest in that, as you've played some Descent and
I'm not logged in here, so
Overload.
I was gonna buy it right away, but I'll file that away for later.
yeah, definitely
that's
bookmark.
fine.
There was also Doom Eternal, which is the next game using id Tech 7. It's kind of the debut. And that was shown at QuakeCon 2018, which just happened within the last couple weeks. And that's going to be released on PC and all major consoles, even Switch. Which yeah,
Huh.
Doom Eternal on Switch.
Probably stripped down like
Hey,
Doom 2016 was.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say they were able to make that look okay.
They
Yeah.
were. I'm not gonna say but they were. They did.
Yep.
They
But-
tried.
But you did.
I'm not
I
gonna
was-
X, but X.
As heavily implied.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, that's all the non-WoW stuff. So, Battle for Azeroth launched earlier this week.
It's a great X pack, whatever the hell that is.
Buffa.
Yeah.
Wow. I know, that was a stretch.
Oh my
sorry.
god, I am gonna call it Bofa now. This is
There we
great.
go.
So wow, Bofa D's nuts. It's a really fantastic expansion so far. And I've gotten to already play a couple hours of it, but like it's kind of spoiled, because I got into the alpha, but they did reveal a whole bunch of new features that I didn't get to see, which is pretty awesome. Voluntary PvP, which is kind of a neat thing. There is no such thing as a PvP server anymore. It's basically like you can decide to flag yourself as eligible for being, like in player versus player combat.
Wait, so this is like that old Skype status of wants to chat?
Yep.
What? Was that a thing?
Oh yeah, it was totally a
Oh,
thing where like you
no.
invited people to talk to you with a status.
Huh.
So this is like wants to get fucked up
Yeah, but
or wants to fuck you up.
in
maybe,
order
I
to
don't
make
know.
it more appealing, they give you like an experience boost and some other abilities and stuff that make leveling faster. And,
Can you take
and
their
stuff like that.
equipment?
So no, that's still
Damn.
not a thing.
Can't just gang up on people.
Gee,
Yeah.
that's
Gang
not
and
gonna
gang.
be. It's not gonna
Ooh.
be exploited or abused or anything like
Yeah.
that.
That would have been good. Gang and gank.
Yeah. But so that's kind of a cool thing. Their huge emphasis is, oh hey, we got rid of like the huge looming threat of the Burning Legion, and so now what do? We're bored as shit. Let's go to war. It's probably more
Nice.
nuanced than that, but it's mostly that.
No, I think you're probably spot on.
I was like, is it though?
Yeah, it's really not that far off. So.
War's not that complicated.
Yeah.
The other thing I've heard too is that people really like to blast through the content. Now they're bored. They're done.
That's their own problem. Although
Hmm.
I will say that Blizzard, as the expansions have come out, they've shortened the amount of time that it takes to get to max level, and they have increased drastically the amount of content that you have at max level. So it's all like, cool, you get the merit of reaching, 120 or whatever, but there's still a lot more to do. So they launched with like a whole crap ton of dungeons, and there's a raid, and you can bet that like a lot of the top end guilds are already like spamming through that, playing 16-hour days, getting ready to go in. So
Oh, to be young.
Yeah.
So I feel like I ask this every time an expansion comes out, but which major expansion is this now? Like 4 or 5 or 6?
oh
it's
gosh,
much
it's
more than
way
that.
Double
more than
digits
that.
now?
Gosh,
Are we like 8
not
or 9
double.
now?
Let's see. There was Burning Crusade, Wrath, Kata, and Pandaland, and then Draenor, and then Legion. So this will be number 7.
Really?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was higher than that.
Yeah. Well, they've come out every 2 years. So
Okay,
and
that's fair.
and the game's been going on since November 2004. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow, that's it's long lived,
Yeah.
very long lived. My
Yeah.
goodness. So props to them for that. I
I
guess.
think the reason why World of Warcraft has been as successful as it is not because of how good it is. It's because of how mediocre everything else has been as far as MMOs.
I guess that's true. Once
Yeah.
they kind of reached a certain momentum with
Yeah.
it.
There's like a huge explosion of them in like the mid 2000s. We had like gosh, I've already forgotten a whole bunch of them now. They had a Warhammer one. They had Conan. They had there was
EverQuest back in that
they did EverQuest 2 that came
generation
out
as well? or-
Yeah, there was Rift. There was Final Fantasy 11. Just a whole bunch of MMOs just kind of came and went. Even Tabula Rasa. That one was probably the most memorable short one. So, but yeah, nowadays it's pretty much just like you have your generic throwaway free to plays. And then there's like you got World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14, and it's really not a whole lot else out there that's as popular. At least not that I'm familiar with here in the States. There's probably some foreign ones that I'm not mentioning.
I mean, not at that scale even.
Yeah.
The scale is really going to be an issue, especially if you're trying to make an MMO like that. One, it's always going to be compared to WoW.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even when it's not deserved to be compared to WoW because of said scale, and you're not going to reach said scale until after like 2 or 3 iterations of it. So it's like, well,
the genre's got the Doom problem, which is basically like when Doom hit the scene in the 90s, everything afterwards that was a first-person shooter was a Doom clone. It's, everything is a WoW clone now, which, even if it's totally not, that is the thing that is going to stick in people's minds. Yeah.
But and can I play Crisis? That's another.
Yeah.
Well, that was a graphics measurement now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
So yeah, same kind of thing.
But yeah, so 10 new levels, whole bunch of new zones that all take place in Azeroth, a whole bunch of new PvP incentives. Like they're trying to bring back world PvP essentially, and like capturable objectives in a world zone where everyone can just kind of go in and beat the shit out of each other. Just that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, it's been a blast so far. And I think that's probably going to be one of the games that I jump in and stream at some point. Just, WoW streams are fun, and they also seem to get quite a bit of traffic too, which is nice. So yeah, that is, I want to say that's all of my major news here. Yeah.
Cool. Toonskis.
Yes.
Level 1 here.
Only level 1? Fine.
Well,
whatever.
bonus level 1,
Round 1.
Fight!
Forest Wraiths by Eminator. From The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
And a remix from Dragon Warrior 7 entitled Deeper in the Heart by Arvin Garth.
And I've got a remix.
There's 3 artists on this one!
Dang it.
Let me finish!
No, just go then.
Dragon Warrior 7 Deeper in the Heart by Arvin Garth, Blue Lighter, Chris Amaterasu, and Katamari.
There was a delay. I took advantage.
I had to scroll it a little bit. It was off the screen. Shut up.
All right, and then finally we have a remix from The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, called The Swag and Dragon from Toxic X Eternity.
I feel like I already know the answer before I ask it, but we've been playing lots of games, right?
Well, I had to test things.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Okay, that's a
So
step. That's a step.
I did have a chance to play some Tetris DX without audio because right now I don't have speakers hooked up, but got a 144. I guess was okay. That's 16 seconds behind my PB, but that's a pretty good time for jumping back into the game for the first time in 2 months.
For a D-Rust?
Yeah. Played some Tengen Tetris, Tengen, I guess you
Yeah,
could say if it's
whatever.
Yeah.
Japanese, because it's RG on that one. But that honestly is, wow, that's probably one of my very favorite NES Tetrises, and it's unlicensed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever even seen that one.
It's very similar to other games,
Mhm.
other Tetris games for the NES. I want to say Tetris 2
Really?
was kind of, I don't remember. There's one that has very similar stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But Tetris the Grandmaster, actually, did I get to play that yet?
I feel like you've talked about it, but I don't know.
I think I may have
I
booted it up
remember.
to make sure that it worked, and technically I played it, but
That
it
could
was
be.
very little. But I'm gonna. And then Eon brought over a custom cartridge purchased off of Ally Express of the demake of FF7 for NES.
Yeah.
It was English, and it was legible English.
Yeah.
And it was a good game with menus and not bugginess. I want to play more of this,
Yeah.
but supposedly the ROM is so large that there's no mapper for a flash cart to actually be able to load it.
Okay.
Although on that note, I should mention, as I was reminded earlier by Eon, there was a new EverDrive N8 firmware that adds 20 new mappers. So I may have to try it. But the ROM is so large that I can't load it into memory.
Well, I can imagine they're demaking Final Fantasy VII. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. I mean, it
I-
looked pretty okay for an NES game. I was just like, this is surprisingly nice.
Yeah.
It had obviously a lot of design influence from the NES Final Fantasy games.
I would hope
However,
so. The best ones,
well, yeah, they're
arguably.
good. I want to go back and play FF3J though. It's going to be a thing. Also, Crimson is submitting it to the marathon. Yes, on an actual Famicom.
Submitting which?
It is
Final Fantasy 3 Japanese.
Ooh.
Well, will submit or has already submitted.
Actually just got the cartridge today to do the official submission.
Ooh.
Okay.
But he's going to go ahead and
Submission
grind
video.
that out.
Final Fantasy 3, huh?
Yeah.
I would
we had
totally
a great
catch
time
that.
with that game.
Hmm.
We played a fan translation of it.
Yeah, I do remember that. I don't remember having a great time.
It was better than 2.
That's
I
the
don't
one that
know,
I've
I
never.
liked 2. I
2
liked
was
2.
good. However, it had quality of life improvements that made it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 was hard to parse as to what the was going on and what was actually doing stuff.
Well, yeah, after a while we were like, oh, we have to intentionally take damage in order to get defense.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
We
yeah.
finally figured out how to trick the game on that one. But no, FF7 for NES
Interesting.
demake. Yeah, I think I'm going to grab myself a copy of that, honestly. It feels like it'd be a worthy $20. So,
Yeah, $20 in like 6 weeks.
well, yeah, it took about a month for Eon to get her copy,
Yeah.
and she plans on playing it blind on stream one afternoon sometime
Ooh.
just to like get through as much as she can. So that'll be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I want to get my own copy now that I've had a taste. It's good. Unfortunately, you can't lift free potions off of the dead guards next to the train though, because those dead guards don't exist.
Oh.
Yeah,
see,
you just
I
get
have-
2 random encounters. So
See, I've never played Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know about most of that stuff.
on that note, again, getting on tangents, but FF7 related, they found a way to skip getting Eris now.
Oh, so she doesn't have
Yeah.
to die. Spoilers.
Well, that's not true.
Oh.
So they skipped the whole Sector 5 thing with going to Eris's house and getting to name her and all the flashback shit. And they found a way to get right outside of Wall Market by clipping through a guard.
Yep.
And when you get to Wall Market, Aerith joins your party. Aerith, because apparently that's what her default name is in the American game, Teehee, at level 1.
Yeah.
Without actually, normally when you gain party
Interesting.
members, they kind of get up to your party
Right.
level
Yeah,
average.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
level 1.
Huh.
But yeah, you can skip about 15 minutes of the speed run just by doing that, and she'll just level super fast if you keep her alive, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. So Yeah, no, that I really want to see a run of that now.
Yeah. I'm kind of
Curious.
curious if that works on like the original PC release. Now that I have a retro box that's capable of playing it.
I shrug. I'm
Try
sure
that.
you can find a lot of info because it's very recent tech.
Yeah.
I want to say that it was PlayStation 1, however. Maybe they can reproduce it.
Yeah.
But we will see. It was very specific. You need to enter the screen going into you know how there's like that cross where you go to Sector 7, Sector
Mhm.
5 with the 2 guards are there, you go up to the platter, etc.
Okay.
Apparently you enter from Sector 7 and you're holding a couple buttons at the same time. I guess that matters. And when you go down to the guards, like you kind of clip into the geometry next to the right guard and slip through.
Mhm.
And it actually puts you in outside of that little playground area,
Yeah.
which is weird because there's not a door there. Like it's just a big wall. Like maybe they were planning for a door there at one point because it totally works as a door.
Yeah.
So there's no load zone from the other side, but it kicks you out there when you enter with the glitching through the side of the guard. So at one point that was intended. So yeah, you basically you skip the whole cutscene of the cart bringing people into Wall Market, and you just walk in, and Eris's cutscene starts where she starts running around and looking at all the shops as Aerith.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just pick up the game there, and you make Cloud pretty, and you go visit Don Corneo and a little sucky sucky, etc. And yeah,
Wow. That doesn't happen, does it?
We'll never tell.
No, I want to know if that's canon.
You do have to make Cloud breast princess in order to progress.
Yes.
There's a lot of dialogue in that game that is extremely suggestive.
There's a strong argument to be made.
Yeah,
That
anyway.
it very well could have.
Moving along. So yeah, lots of new speed tech in FF7 as I got
Oh,
derailed
boy.
on FF7 for NES that I do want to purchase from AliExpress. So that's all I've played. I don't think I've literally played anything else, obviously, but
But you're gonna start streaming soon, so
it's
you're
going to be a
playing
thing. I'm
stuff.
actually really curious about Ocarina of Time Randomizer. I want to use that as a springboard to be less afraid of 3D Zelda games. I realize it's a bizarre fear, but ever since going into
Well-
3D Zelda games, I've been terrified of boss battles because I always felt like I was disoriented constantly.
I mean, considering what Ocarina is, it's not probably uncommon to be afraid of 3D Zelda games because it's kind of a dark game.
Well, it's not even that. It was my loss of perspective constantly and feeling like I had zero chance to win anything because I was fighting the camera all
Oh,
the
the
time.
camera's shitty.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
But I mean, like, back in young, impressionable 10-year-old me being frustrated with a game and having that be super impressionable on me, I was like, fuck this. I just never played a 3D Zelda game after that, pretty much. Like, I
Yeah.
played a little bit of the intro of Twilight Princess, got to the forest area, and I was like, man, we're done.
Oh man, the N64 era was shitty cameras all over the place. They
Yeah.
couldn't hold all these shitty cameras.
Right, yeah, exactly. So I'm really tempted to get on a Discord call with people and be like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to get to the end of the game. And we'd be like, what the fuck have I been afraid of this shit for? It's just a dumb game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, part of me is all like, yeah, Wolf Link, Twilight Princess, duh. But, like, actually playing those games, fucking terrified. No
Oh.
idea why.
I liked Twilight
Beside that.
Princess.
Well, yeah.
I liked it. A lot of people don't.
I haven't
I-
played the HD remake.
I don't
do
understand
want
why
to.
they don't, but I thought it was a pretty damn good one. But hey,
I thought the
whatever.
music was phenomenal.
Whatever.
But anyway,
Here's the
I'm
blip, blip,
really,
blip.
really off
Disagree.
on a tangent. But one of y'all tell us what you've been playing.
Well, I mentioned World of Warcraft earlier.
Wow.
I also
Wow.
yeah.
God damn it.
Continuing the Pathfinder campaign. So that one's a quick one.
Has anybody reached negative HP yet?
Is
Is that a thing in Pathfinder?
It is.
Okay.
So we have a rather reckless party member who is the newest of our group, who is also, he's managed to get himself killed like 3 times, and the GM keeps making us go on these little side quests to try and get him
To
back.
save him? Oh
Yeah.
no, fuck it. Like after the second one, it's like
Make
you're
him
your own buddy.
re-roll.
He's useful, damn it.
Is
So
it
yeah.
Useful idiots, I guess. I
Yep.
don't know.
And then another one of our party members decided that you know what? Like, I'm kind of tired of this character, so we kind of had like a story arc of them like ascending as a god and then disappearing from our party. Like, cool,
Oh.
yeah, just that's great. Bye. So
Why?
so they rolled up a new character that's similar to like level of our party and just kind of hopped in. So,
I see.
but of course we had to write it off as like a special event, to make it canon.
Well, shit. If I hated a character, I don't think I would ascend him. I would
Yeah.
kill him off.
They
I
wanted to go
mean-
out in a blaze of glory there.
I suppose.
They were a monk, and so like this
Okay,
is a thing
that's
that was
fair.
very appropriate for them. So
Fucking Yang.
That's
yeah,
fair.
right.
Hey, Yang was cool. Shut up.
Just
Rip.
got to get the pan and beat him with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
that is how he survived. Is he just hid behind the pan, and it was that strong.
Yeah, I mean,
Cast iron, yo.
it's
Yeah.
really.
Cast adamantium,
They
though.
never really explained how he survived that explosion.
Yeah.
Then again, Sid also survived an explosion.
Yeah, you're
somehow,
supposed to just
so-
speculate, I think.
I don't know. I think it was bullshit. But hey,
Yeah.
whatever.
Welcome to plot holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten into playing a lot of Master of Magic again, which is one of my favorite 4X games of all time.
It's a
You
good
Um,
game.
streaming it yet?
I really should,
You really
because
should,
there
'cause
is
I'd probably
so
watch it.
much to talk about. The reason why I'm doing things. I've played that game so much that I just blow through the menus because I already know what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And
Is that the one that's affected by like clock speed or whatever?
yes, because it's a
Okay.
turn-based game, but later on, as the computer opponents become a lot stronger and start to grow their armies, turns take longer. And so the game came out when your typical system was a 386. Sometimes turns would take like 20 seconds. But with the system that I've got right now, it's pretty much just every turn is instant. So
Even severely undervolted processor.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
Well, we got to try to drop the clock speed somehow.
So it's
And
not
you can only-
undervolted.
I thought it was.
No, it is. So it's a processor that's supposed to be run at 1 volt, but the board doesn't support going that low. So it's
Oh.
actually overvolted right
Oh,
now.
wow.
Right. Okay. Fine.
So
But
But
severely
the
underclocked,
multiplier
that
is as low as it goes.
yeah, so it's
and the
it's
FSB.
it's I'm using a Geode NX in my motherboard right now.
Which is an AMD embedded processor.
Yeah, but
Similar
it's
to the Athlon XP.
it's basically an Athlon XP, but it's very
Okay.
specifically binned to run at low power.
All right.
But
For embedded.
so I dropped it in a desktop board, and the desktop board doesn't know what the hell it is for one.
Oh, shit.
But the pins all match up and it can send shit to it, so why the hell not try?
yeah,
It's
it
kinda
runs
hilarious.
perfectly. So it's just if I could run it at 1 volt, I would.
So we just got to do a BIOS mod that adds that. Realistically, it's just an option.
the board's got to have the circuitry to be able to support that kind of low voltage too. So it goes down to 1.2. That's as low as I can get it.
I don't know, man. I would just stick with what you got and not touch it.
Yeah, it works.
Because I'm a
So
baby coward like that. But hey,
Well, you're also swapping that board out, so who
I
knows
am,
what the other
yeah.
board has.
the new board is supposed to be able to support that and have a lot more granular overclocking options. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's
Except underclocking is what you want.
well, yeah.
a negative overclock, underclock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just buffer underflow or
There
whatever.
we go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Master of Magic.
Yeah, Master of Magic is it's a really fantastic 4X game. And for those of you who have played Master of Orion, it's very much in the same vein, not as many layers of complexity. But yeah, so I think that's going to be one of the games that I definitely stream because I want to share it, and there's so much to talk about while I play. So the commentary will be really solid for that. And then ZZT. So I've picked up the emulator that I've been working on again. And as part of that, I have to play a whole lot of it just to make sure that it works. So that means the original Game Worlds, which incidentally I've only ever beaten Town. So I have a lot of official ZZT to play through. Yeah, so there's that. And I've also been playing a lot of user created games. There's a new site that's spun up called Museum of ZZT. that is essentially like poised to be the ultimate repository and kind of historical archive of all things EZT. So that's been a huge help in locating some of the games that are really pushing the engine. So
That's a pretty good niche to have.
yeah,
All things CCT.
yeah.
Oh boy.
So, but yeah, it's been mainly those things. I did pick up, like, I didn't list it on my notes because it's kind of insignificant amounts, but in order to test out the 144 hertz, I whipped out Unreal Tournament 3. And
no, then you said the 3 and I got sad.
yeah, I enjoyed 3. Damn it, that it was. It didn't receive as much praise as like 2K4, which is still my absolute favorite, but it looks beautiful.
I guess I haven't been fair to 3 because at the time when I first played 3, I had like a 5-year-old laptop at the time.
Oh yeah.
So it was like it was just barely crawling along at maybe 15 FPS or something. Like, come on, I want to play this, damn it.
Yep.
But it just could not handle it.
Yeah, I had
probably give it
an
another
older
go.
system too at the time, but now it's like any GPU that you can find on a shelf will just chew right through this game. And like I said, it is a beautiful game regardless. So I have no idea how the online play is. I have not done that in like over a decade, but yeah, it's probably another shooter that I'll pick up. If I pick up any Unreal though, it's probably going to be either 99 or 2K4 first. So or Quake 3. It's going to be those 3 games probably, like all 3 of them, because they're all good.
I have very fond memories of UT Game of the Year edition. Oh man,
Yodi.
That was a good game. It's probably still my top favorite of everything of all time. Just because of the amount of time I spent on it.
Yeah, that was a choice LAN party game. It was great because like when we were doing our LAN parties, it was I want to say we did them through about 2002, and it was just one of those games where you could run it on pretty much nothing. And be fine. And like Medal of Honor and that were just the really huge games at the time where we would just kill entire weekends. So yeah, it's I'm still a bigger fan of 2K4 personally than 99, but you're gonna like I think the consensus is divided pretty evenly.
Like,
on
yeah,
that
I
one.
think I'm a little biased on that one because I had played 2K3 first.
Yeah.
So that one wasn't super good. So I was kind of already
that one was okay. 2K4 was like
2K4 by that point. So I was like,
yeah,
whatever. And then I got excited for UT3, but then it didn't run great on what I had. So I was like, And I was like, I'll just stick to UT99 because I love it and I'm good at it. So
2K3 was great, but it did not have the player engagement.
No,
which was the huge problem.
It certainly didn't. I remember liking the ragdoll physics on it a bunch when you died.
Oh yeah,
that I would just go.
I did eventually pick it up for the PS3, and hook a mouse and keyboard up to it and just slaughter everyone.
PS3? Really?
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and Unreal Tournament games on consoles have supported like keyboard and mouse. Like even on the PS2, that supports keyboard and mouse.
Nice.
Which is fantastic, because. Yeah, just
good. I don't want to hear anybody whining then that they're getting slaughtered by using a controller. Idiots. Hook up
on the PS3, they did separate the games between keyboard and mouse and controller, I think, for a time.
Huh.
But I don't know if that's still a thing now. But even on console, like the more skilled players who had a mouse and keyboard generally played on PC. So it was mostly just annihilating,
I seem to recall some sort of brouhaha around if you were playing with a controller, there was some sort of forced auto aim. Maybe it wasn't the UT series, but I think some other FPS had that on it.
Yeah.
Like it matters. Whatever. Get good scrubs. Like I don't get it. I play FPSs with controllers sometimes. Do just fine. So it's like, well, I mean, obviously I'll defer to keyboard and mouse for that kind of thing because it's more precise or whatever, but controllers seem to work fine to me. But hey,
if they're gonna let me play with a mouse and keyboard on a console, then I will hook a mouse and keyboard up to a console.
For a quick drop in, I mean, fuck, Headshot.
Just the tools that I'm used to, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, all good?
Yeah, that's all I
Any more?
got.
All right, cool. So it's been a weirdly proliferous month for me on some of these games. So last episode we talked, I was just barely finishing up with Overload, so I finished that up. Oh, it's a good game.
What does finishing Overload, like, what does that entail?
Like the last 3 weeks I played, I was purely on challenge mode, like endless, just kill as many robots as you can. So
Robots.
Yeah, robots. So that was whole fun. So finishing up really isn't the right word because you can't really finish that. You go until you go and get a high score and put up some good numbers and all that. That's how that shakes out. So I'm done with it for now. I'm no longer streaming. I might go back to it at some point because it's a really good game. I like it. Congrats, Survival Productions. You did a good. You did a good. So then I moved on to Just Shapes and Beats, which is a rhythm-ish game.
Oh, yeah, I saw that at PAX when we were there.
Yeah. So that was way back PAX West 2016 now, right?
Yeah, I was really impressed with it, and it drew quite a big crowd, too.
Sure did. I waited in line a lot for that one to play that at PAX. But so I played through that in about 2 weeks or so. It was good. It was a very fun and interesting and quirky game, and it was the quote unquote story mode.
Story mode.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. It was good. It was interesting writing for a story mode.
Writing.
Well, it told a story,
Oh,
so writing
okay.
in a very loose sense, but
It
it was a very good progression. So I spent a couple weeks on that, and the last week of it, I spent just going through and putting up numbers on each level. So it's like, it was fun. It was a good diversion. It's like, I wish this was longer because it's so good, but what are you gonna do? You can't like keep going and expect to generate consistent interest in it. So it's like, okay, I gave it its fair shake. I had a blast. Let's move on to something else. So that something else happened to be Chasm, which I finished up this past week, and Chasm made a pretty big splash over the past couple PAXs because it's like, it's this really solid Metroidvania with procedurally generated stuff and whatever. So I was really excited for it. And I played through it, and I was like, well, maybe I'm missing something because I didn't see what the procedural generation bit was about. But it's a very competent Metroidvania. I mean, like it's a great game. I love it. It's the physics are a little weird. The attack canceling is sluggish, so not like a Symphony of the Night attack canceling where you land and you can just like keep whacking
You
it.
just cheese it.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of delayed, and maybe I'm just bad at playing it, but it's just like this doesn't feel exactly great. But hey, whatever. So I finished that up this past week, and it's a good game. It's a good game. Maybe I just haven't played it enough to really see any of the randomly generated stuff. Because when I started up a brief second playthrough of it just to see if like the map layout was a little different or anything like that, and it didn't really seem that way. So I'm wondering if it adjusts some things, like the major power-ups are in different spots, or they rearrange the order of them or something like that. So maybe I'll have to play through it a little bit more and see if that's the case. But I mean, I'm not going to shit on it. It's it's a really very, very competent Metroidvania. And if you're into that sort of thing, I'd hardly recommend picking it up and playing it through. It's super good.
Tormod is over here looking at pictures of food.
I was sent a link, okay?
Stop looking up links, man. We're doing a show. Come on.
But I was talking about Zelda.
Yeah, you were.
Links.
But you're not any... Oh, God. Shut up. Shut up, man.
How long were you setting that one up for?
He was saving that one for a good time, I bet.
You don't give me enough credit, but okay.
Wait, giving you too much or not enough?
Not enough credit.
That's why we have to insert it.
I get.
All right.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, fair.
That was pretty good.
No, that was right on the spot for me. Just saying, I wasn't saving that shit up. Besides, Zelda puns are really easy.
They are
extraordinarily
easy. But that's all right. All right, we'll give you a pass this time. All right, so I'm through Chasm. I won't announce the next game I'm playing just because that's for something for Monday for people to figure out.
Yeah.
But for Shmup Book Club, which is Thursdays for me, so we finished up Super EDF for July. I ended up being, I think, second overall, which is it's all right. It's okay. Not a great shmupper, so second's pretty good for me. But we started off now with X Multiply for August, which is an arcade game from 1989.
Ooh.
So It's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The audio is a little.
We were still learning in the 80s.
The controls are a little. It's an interesting game, certainly, and it's got auto fire, but it doesn't have auto fire, so it's like it's really murderous on your hands, which really makes it not great. But hey,
Is it one of those kind of like janky auto fires where it fires slowly if you hold it? Oh no.
Yes, but it
So
fires
basically-
fast if you keep tapping.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So they give you 4 buttons to do that, which is good. But
Yeah.
Oh, so you can at least like.
even still, it's like
Yeah. They got to make you work for it. Though,
Yeah.
right?
well, you're getting a workout, that's for damn sure. So besides that, our shmup for the third quarter of 2018 is Blue Revolver, July through September. So
heard of
that's
that
still
one.
going on. It's a good game. That's a really
Wait, that was the same one from last time, though, wasn't it? For
I
quarter 3.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's why I've heard of it.
I would hope so, right? That's what I talked about last time. That's going pretty well. I like Blue Revolver a lot. I'm usually not like a huge fan of the more how to put this. The
Tohoi?
more sort of Tohoi, like more Eastern sourced, I suppose. Asian sourced. Okay, fine. I'll say Asian sourced. But there are certain entries that are really good. Like Blue Revolver is one of them. It's accessible, I suppose is the right term for it, because like I'm not huge into shmups, but I like me a good shmup every now and again. And
Something that doesn't knock you on your ass instantly.
yeah, something
Yeah.
that's not like, well, you're dead, stage 1, good luck, fucker. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Casual shmups.
They have to at least get
just,
you
just
into
say
the game.
casual.
right.
Filthy.
I mean, there is a casual. It's normal mode, but there is a
Yeah.
casual mode for it where if you're reasonably competent, you can get through it without much difficulty. But it's got enough kind of scoring complexity to it that it's like, oh well, there's a lot of nuance to this, like destroy shit at the right time, or save your special weapon until this time, or intentionally take a death so you get more special weapon later type thing. So it's like, okay, that's deep enough for me,
Yeah.
but not too deep. So it's like, okay, this satisfies my dumb American sensibilities just enough to be
Ugh.
considered a good shmup.
Taking a death to game the system. That is.
It feels dirty because like, no, I want to play this perfectly, goddammit. I want to
Yeah.
avoid everything, and I want to destroy shit. I want to feel like a powerful man.
Is abusing the meta.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
like playing Zelda 2 without doing death abuses to get your magic back.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's like, well, no, I want to be a good player. Don't stop
Mhm.
stop making me be a bad player when it's really being like strategic and shit.
And it's funny because Eon just started learning a new Zelda 2 category right now.
Oh, really? Which category is that?
Glitched 100%. So you still have to get all of the items and everything, but you can
Uh-huh.
use glitches like a healer glitch
And fairy feet and
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So what? Like you, as long as you collect and explore everything, it
and
still
defeat
counts?
the bosses and
Yeah.
get through Great Palace. Yep.
Okay.
Interesting. I can see the routes for that being wide and varied.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just throw that in. Go watch Eon after this. Briefly before
Yeah.
our meeting.
Good plug. Good plug. Okay, and besides that, I've been doing my typical randos and Assault Android Cactus speedrun practice.
Nice. Any new PBs this month?
Yes.
Didn't I read something recently that you said
Um,
you had 2 Infinity Drive runs in a row that succeeded?
No,
Oh, I thought you did. My bad.
it should have been. By all rights, it should have been, but I fucked up on layer 49.
Ah.
And yeah, I was not real happy about that.
Fair.
But I wasn't really expecting a back-to-back, so I was just like, yeah, whatever. But anyway, so PB for normal campaign run, I did have 2 minute-plus improvements on, let's see, who was that now?
Ollie?
I'm going to have to look because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong.
Speedrun.com, go.
No,
Yeah.
my YouTube playlist.
Oh, you actually have a playlist of all of your PBs?
I do.
That's
I
actually
do.
pretty good. That's cool.
Yeah, I occasionally see since I subscribe to you on YouTube, like just massive dump videos all at the same
Oh
time.
yeah. I should really do these on a more regular basis. But then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm getting behind. I better post all
Yeah.
this.
And then it's
50
all like,
videos
oh my
later.
god, I have like 15 hours worth of stuff to
Yeah,
add.
exactly. Licorice and Peanut were the 2 1+ minute improvements.
I can't imagine those two flavors going well together.
Oh no, absolutely not. So those
In a
were kind of
cake.
like I was at the point a long time ago where it's like there's no way I'm improving by a minute plus. And well, son of a bitch, here we
Yeah.
are again.
all you
so
have to
whatever.
all you have to do is doubt.
All you have to do is
Right?
get good.
I have to not believe in myself to make this shit happen, right?
I
And
mean, that's how
there-
Yeah.
Tetris PBs
Oh,
happen.
it's
so
the last one of the night. There's no way I'm gonna beat
yeah,
a PB.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
then there was
accidentally gets a PB. Yeah.
and then there was a very embarrassing choral PB last weekend.
Embarrassing.
What did you get? Like a PB by 2 seconds or something, or
No,
what?
I was down by almost a minute,
Oh,
and I still brought it back for like a 15-second PB. So it's
wow.
like,
Have fun running against that split.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'll
I
take
have
it,
left
but damn
plenty
it.
of room for this one. So, oh my god, that was so dumb.
Yeah.
I'm happy that it's a PB, but I'm not happy that it happened. So it's like,
Well,
no.
I mean, that's
Well,
how
shit.
that shit happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, yeah.
When you're
Exactly.
doing single segment,
yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't do single segments.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't do ILs for anything.
Well, that's what
are
you're
you
talking
about. No reset.
No,
Yeah.
single segment is you run through the whole game.
Okay,
Yeah.
Then
ILs
yes.
are the opposite.
Then absolutely, I don't do ILs. I do full
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
segment, full runs, no resets, no nothing. If I fuck up in the beginning, no, I'm going through the entire
Yep.
thing because
Yep,
I
yep,
need
yep.
yeah,
practice.
just keep doing it.
I need practice on everything.
Yep.
Good,
So
good.
it's like, oh, shit, this
So,
is
you
a
know-
dumb choral run. Why do I get 15 seconds on this garbage?
This leads me to wonder, and I need to look up dates real quick.
You should play them
Um,
side by side and then just like wait for the moment where
I-
you pass yourself.
I thought about doing that, and I'm like, I don't have enough room to really make it effectively visible for both of them. So it's like,
yeah.
So, here's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in a GDQ?
I would love to go back to a GDQ.
It is the first week, well, technically the second week of January. We have our flights planned. I already bought them. We have a place to stay the night before. So a lot's changed in Assault and Android Cactus over the last couple years. All things considered, the rebalancing, yeah, it's pretty different.
I mean, yeah, I would like, let me specify. I'd like to go back to a GDQ with a game in tow. I should specify.
Oh, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. What about resubmitting?
Like, yeah, I mean, we've thought about it. We've talked about it a little bit
Cool.
amongst the community. Is like, well, we should probably reset. It's been like a good year and a half, 2 years. Maybe
Yeah.
they'd accept it again. And it's like, oh, okay.
It'd actually be really cool in race format, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm really surprised we got to do the co-op run. To be honest
Yeah.
with you. It's
Yeah.
just like, well, this is cool and different and fun.
Yeah, because they don't do a whole lot of co-op runs in GDQ, so
The donation
It's
incentive was
time.
wrong, but
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
It's time for versus mode. Just saying.
Boy.
So I think that would be cool. And the reason I say that is in 8 days, submissions open. It's going to be the weekend of our happy fun time. August 25th. Game and volunteer submissions begin.
thinking
They're only
about it.
open until September 4th. Reg is on the 29th of
Yeah.
September. It's on the calendar.
Think about it.
I'll think about it. I'll see what people say. Because I mean, honestly, it was a great run. It was made much better by Kenny being there for commentary.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No, Kenny slayed it.
because I mean, we probably could have done it while we were playing. It would have been much worse if we had to do it
I'm sure
ourselves while we were
Kenny's going to
playing.
go.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I
or
mean-
somebody else from the community.
Yeah, especially like if it if it gets accepted,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've certainly talked about submitting it again. I think the leaning was towards summer 2019,
Okay.
just based on the time frame. But
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
know.
This would still be 29.
It was a surprise
Yeah.
acceptance for 2017. So who the fuck knows what's gonna happen
Yeah.
with this, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
So yeah, I definitely want to take it back to a GDQ. I mean, even if it's a super early morning slot like it was last time. It was great fun.
Hey, I had fun surprisingly not yawning on the couch. The only person who didn't, and I wasn't mic'd.
Wait, everybody else yawned on the couch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you bastards! Come on, that was exciting.
Hey, I was.
You know
I,
what time it was.
I do know what time it was. I was
I
amped up for
struggled.
other reasons. So
And I was just going,
Yeah.
I'm awake. the whole time. Yeah.
That's well. I don't think anybody else on the couch, if they were mic'd, would get in a word edgewise with
I
Kenny.
certainly
well,
didn't.
With
yeah.
Kenny going, "Blah, blah, blah,
I
blah."
wanted to,
Yeah.
but holy cow. I'm like, you know what? Kenny is still going and going.
No,
and he's doing
he's
a
got it.
great job.
He's got it covered.
But holy cow.
Just let him go.
I was,
Yeah.
Except,
how do you catch a breath, dude?
except with the unagreed to puns. I don't know how to feel about
Yeah.
that yet.
Oh, well, you know, somebody's doing you a service. They have to also do you a disservice.
They do.
Yeah.
He covered both ends.
So, yeah, I figured I'd throw that in
Oh,
there as we're
man.
talking about, you know,
Yeah.
your speed game,
Well,
your primary speed game,
Yeah.
I'd say.
my speed game really.
Well, I mean, it can always get you back in the saddle for, oh, what else? A nuclear throne again, for instance. You a little burned out on that one?
No, it's just that I can't really compare to any like true speedrunner of Nuclear Throne. So it's just like,
That also seems like one of those games where it's extremely difficult to do that like reliably.
yeah. I mean, RNG is a huge, heavy decider. in it.
Yeah.
However,
Oh, yeah.
However, and I'm going to shout out, another a speedrunner of Sublevel 0, Ron Clee. He did a run at SGDQ 2018.
Oh.
Nice.
He did a good run of Sublevel 0. So that's a very RNG heavy game too,
Yeah.
and he did it. So
I'm just thinking of
congrats,
Enter the
GG.
Gungeon not
Oh.
having such a good time at SGDQ. Rather.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching that. I was like, oh yeah, that's a
Mm.
game that'll do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just kind of strikes me
It
as being
will
on the
do
same
that.
level as like NetHack speedrun, just how wildly random it can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, enjoy that.
I mean, there's a place for RNG in games. There's a place for speedruns of RNG based games, but it seems to me that there is a threshold to be crossed with that, where it's
Yeah.
very, very unsafe in a marathon setting.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So, GG Ronckley.
Oh yeah.
Very, very much enjoyed your Sublevel 0 run
hmm
in SGDQ 2018. It was
Right on.
funny as hell. Oh boy. Did I cover everything? I got off on a wild tangent. Thanks. Yeah, that's it. I think we're ready for bonus level 2. Some more Toonskis.
All right. The Ashes Judge by Ophanin from Dark Souls 3.
Okay, and then a remix from Shovel Knight entitled Digging into Memories by Furorezu, Jarito, and Stephen Kelly.
And then I have a remix from Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag titled Sanctity from Timaeus 222.
call a spade a spade. I'm a success. I read about it in a magazine. I'm popular. I'm captain of the yacht club. Someone will look at you and think you've always been this storybook champion, this knight in shining armor who can do no wrong. But what they don't do is they don't look inside the armor. Because they can't. That armor is yours. Everything they have at you and assume it all just bounces off. What they don't see are the people in your life standing in the way. A shield against the world so you can achieve that one thing you always wanted. The armor is just for show. Nobody can be an empty suit of armor. Everyone has a past to dig up. But for me, that's always been very personal, very literal, like with an actual shovel.
right. Well, you were all excited about your design, so
Yeah,
you
why
can
not?
go first.
So, I
Wait,
made a game.
Wait.
I know. No, you're getting.
Should I sit down for this one?
You might want to. All right. Twin stick.
Oh! Oh! Okay, proceed.
I faked you out last time though, so be careful.
Yeah.
It's an arcade style, competitive or cooperative twin stick shooter.
Okay.
That's the genre. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's an actual twin stick game in the genre that you care about.
Hey, come on! I care about lots of genres. You fuck. Don't do that. Don't sell me out.
I've sold you out.
Yes.
So I've decided to name it Contrast Cannon. And
Okay.
there's a reason for that. So my little backstory on why I suck at fighting and shooting and anything that requires a lot of me looking at a bunch of shit at the same time. It's really hard for me to follow things. And a lot of these games, especially in the early 2000s, was bland as fuck. Everything was brown and green and bleh. And it was really hard to follow things. And like I appreciated 6 Degree of Freedom games that I never got to play, but I liked watching them because sci-fi, you get colors, you get things that are a lot easier to follow, you get beam weapons and things like that. There's a lot of contrast. And I was like, well, what if you made a twin stick game that had a lot of contrast? But also, what if you made a twin stick game that wasn't just top down? So there's a traditional top down mode, and there's also an isometric mode, which involves height and Z rotation. So there's going to be some interesting things here. But first, let's cover the players. So 1 to 4, you can have, just 1v1 if you really want to, and just have deathmatch and, the old standard game modes. I recommend, because my only experience playing these things are like Perfect Dark, Gemini Jet Force, and whatnot on the N64. Really shitty frame rates. But the more bots you got in there, the slower it got. It was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So I really liked having multiplayer matches that had more than just 1v1. You have the ability to have up to 4 human players or bots, or hell, you can even have 4 bots play against each other. Why not? It's fun to watch. It's a good screensaver. Input method, gamepad, joystick and buttons, or keyboard and mouse. Honestly, I really think that if you're doing top-down, joystick is probably going to be really cool. You can just sit there and play it like an arcade game. Although, if you're going to be screwing around with the isometric mode that you actually have some camera rotation that you got to do, it's probably going to be easier if you have an actual gamepad because you can use the triggers for that if you want to do camera rotations.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be kind of interesting. It's that particular mechanic, I guess, or a design choice I'm going to treat a bit like Fez. So instead of it being flat where you rotate the whole thing, you do get to see it from the isometric like side view, and you can run around corners and stuff based on where your position is. But if you want to keep going, or if you want to go into certain little like crevices or tunnels or whatnot, you actually have to rotate the camera so that the game knows your intent. Plus, you can jump and get on to higher platforms and whatnot. So you're going to have not only your top down, which is okay, you're looking at everything from the top here, but you have isometric turned on a 45-degree angle so you can see kind of like FFT style, but you also have the ability to jump up on a train, go through things to hide, and use it as cover.
But also adjust the camera based on what you want to do.
So while you're doing all of these things, you're adjusting the camera. How do I... Okay, so how it worked, I had to remember how I did this. So in top-down mode, obviously, you're running with one stick and you're aiming with the other. It's going to be the same kind of thing when you're in the isometric view. So you're running and you're aiming with your 2 sticks. But if you want to change the orientation of the camera, like to twist like the other 90 degrees to keep going around some big obstacle or a bigger map or whatever the case be, you would use the trigger buttons in order to, and then you can continue using the sticks.
Okay.
And it's going to be similar to how the N64 handled going between different zones. Like if you're holding straight to go through a door and you continue holding straight, it'll keep your momentum going instead of going in that specific direction.
Okay. Yeah,
so I was trying to think of that in order to make this kind of jive. But that's really the 2 points of view. I wanted to enable those game modes where you had bots, humans, a combination therein, top down or isometric. And back on the contrast thing, I want to make the graphic style cell shaded so that there's not so much texture really necessarily to look at and get lost in. but also be high contrast and dynamic. So I want weapons that, obviously you're going to have your knives and whatnot and your special guns, but I want things to be really obvious, like what's what. So that you're not like, okay, that's definitely not a ranged weapon that's going to be super really accurate at a large distance. Well, no, actually that one is because,
the other
it's
way
this
around.
style of weapon. So, whatever. Audio style in contrast with that. I kind of wanted to have some more options from the let's just call it like early 90s Euro, whatever, just kind of in the background grungy stuff, which is cool. And I have an option for that. But I want 3 distinct audio styles. I want to be able to choose silent with sound effects so that people can have their own music on in the background if they're streaming or whatnot. Because that way you can have a Discord call going. It's not going to be trying to talk over the game constantly. Arena shooter like, which the Quake soundtracks and all that other shit. And you get the commentator and all that other. Yeah, you get that kind of effect like, hey, let's bring back the 90s again.
Quad damage.
Exactly.
Double kill.
Or honestly, what I thought would be kind of neat is just kind of ambient stuff that's in the background, which I've seen a lot or heard a lot rather with like your 6 Degrees of Freedom. Like you're in this space thing and you're trying to float around and you're in this complex and whatnot. So you get like the industrial kind of ambient stuff. I like that a lot.
The original Quake 1 has a soundtrack like that. It's not the same as later Quake games, which are a bit more upbeat or upfront.
Yeah.
And that one was actually from 9 Inch Nails.
Nice.
That's right. I do remember about that one.
So I wanted to throw in those different options, and hell, you can mix and match for all I give a shit. But just to make it more approachable, I guess, for people who like different styles of things. But the story, it's a twin stick game.
The story.
Like if you're gonna do it in co-op, oh yeah, that's the other thing too. It can be co-op, as I mentioned before, or competitive. Those are 2 distinct modes. And you can also do that in top-down and isometric mode. So you can kind of mix and match all of that stuff, plus the humans or bots, whatever. But story, whatever. I just kind of pulled this out of my ass. If it's cooperative, why not? Let's defuse a hostage situation or something. Let's pretend that it's a Christmas movie. Otherwise, competitive, it's going to be fight for your life, capture the whatever, etc. Whatever game modes you can think of.
So if it's cooperative in presumably single screen?
No. Depends. So if you are rather in multiplayer at any point and you're on a similar screen, it would merge things.
Okay.
But as players split, it would kind of split into different viewports.
So then, all right, this is probably nitpicky. But if you're getting into the merge screen aspect and you're dealing with isometric mode, who controls the camera? How does the camera control?
That would probably have to be its own separate screens for all of that, just so that everybody can be like, okay, I'm going to take this side, I'm going to start climbing.
Or is it like you're fighting for control between each other? Because I've seen games
Nah.
do that where it's just like, well, all right, we got to either fucking cooperate on this or somebody needs to take the lead on it.
Interesting that you say that, though, because I started thinking of, well, what if we also turned that into something that was vaguely turn-based? If you wanted a turn-based mode, you could have it merged all of the time, but as players take their turns, even if it were cooperative, you'd be able to take control when you were making your own actions. And I started thinking, well, I could actually kind of expand upon this in the future if I wanted to, by having things like you have a certain amount of action points that you can spend based on your encumbrance and whatever equipment you have and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like I can move this many hops up this pile of whatever, and I can do this blast because I have to load my weapon and also fire it. That kind of thing. But I didn't want to really jump into that right away. I wanted to get the real-time action thing going first. But that wait mode is kind of neat. But I started thinking about that. But for in the 3D environment, especially because everybody needs to see different things at the same time, it's probably best split out. But top down, you can do whatever the hell you want. I mean, hell, if you wanted to have it split into quarter screen stuff the whole time, whatever.
Right. I mean, well, top down when you don't have discrete camera control, really, it's really anybody's game.
But anyway, so the hook, as I was trying to mention before, is I was going on about contrast and whatnot. I want to use high contrast and color choices. It's going to help people track the action and the environment and things that kind of look like, this is going to be something I can interact with because it's slightly different instead of having things blend in so easily like certain games do. There will be certain exceptions with based on power-ups, but I want to to be easy to see terrain differences, differences in weaponry, player characters, weapon effects, that kind of thing. So, in my opinion, it's going to make it more approachable for people like, say, with color blindness or folks who have problem following all of that shit on the screen at the same time, like I do. I'm just not used to it. This, I think, is going to be a little more approachable for people like me to be able to play these games and not totally suck. There's an intent on having a lot of pre-generated maps and content and things like that to be like, hey, this is the style of shit that we made with our editors. What can you do? I want to be able to have a map editor in there. But also the option to generate random debris or random scenarios or random whatever, just to be like, okay, you're in a compound now. Enjoy fighting through cubicles or whatever the hell. Just that kind of thing. So you can be like, I want this style thing, and it just generates a map of that type of junk. Inventory wise, you have obviously your various weapons and armors and levels therein. I kind of wanted to be able to have like, okay, so you found a revolver 5 times in a row, instead of being like, okay, cool, I got 5 of the same thing. Great. I'm over encumbered. I wanted to be able to have something where as a quick time event in a very specific amount of time, you can be like, I want to take this off of this and put it in mine. Be like, okay, so I'm going to take this tech. Now I've got 2 barrels or something like that. Just be like, okay, I found all of this stuff. I'm going to quickly scrap it, make something new out of it. And that's how you upgrade your weapons live-wise.
You find a pineapple and you found a pen.
Great. Apple.
Anyway, and it doesn't have to be of the same type of weapon. It can be literally anything. Just be like, hey, oh, these are the cool options that I get with this shit. Nice. And then just start making your Megazuka or whatever.
So according to how well you do with the QTE, it alters the properties of your current weapon.
It's not so much that like, oh no, you have to press all of these things in exactly the right order or whatnot. It's like, okay, you get 3 seconds to make a choice of what you want to do with this. Go.
I see.
And then it kind of branches out based on what you get. But of course, the more specific it is, the harder it is to find ammo for it. So that kind of thing kind of plays into how you would balance that. But you can keep some really cool souped up weapon that only has like 5 shots and you save it for later. Obviously, you don't want it to like super encumber you, but that kind of thing. Let's see here. Various power-ups and buffs. I can think of the really obvious things like medkits, enhancements, also temporary invincibility and invisibility. So that kind of goes in sharp contrast, to the bright colors and being able to follow everything. I want to be able to have like a cloaking effect on certain characters for a certain amount of time based on like, hey, you got this really cool power-up. You've got 5 seconds to GTFO or plan something sinister, and people might be able to see a shimmer in the air, but they're not going to necessarily see, hey, bright contrast, that's obviously a player at that point. Mechanics-wise, it's kind of broken down here, and I really want to expand upon this, but the start that I have, top down, I want you to be able to hide behind things and use environment obstacles for cover. Really obvious. Longer time taken aim will yield both an accuracy and impact bonus to damage, plus a chance to break through armor or enhancements on said armor. Or through, say, if you're hiding behind a cubicle wall, it's going to be able to break down after a strong enough shot or something like that. The more time you take just to keep battering at it, it's going to fall apart. I want the environment to be able to fall apart. That's a big thing. I want these indestructible doors that you can't crawl over or something stupid like that. Let's see here. You can combine multiple pieces of the same kind of armor, same thing as the weapons I was talking about, so you can try to buff up your armor or replace things that are damaged, that kind of thing. Yields armor that's more resilient, has a chance of gaining special effects. I already talked about the weapon stuff. You can obviously just do something as simple as, I just really want the ammunition out of this revolver. Let's just take the clips and go. Instead of trying to do anything else with it, you can just chuck it. You can even use whatever the husk is as a melee weapon and just chuck it at someone. Oh, look, you gave me a free gun, and it's empty, fucker. Area of effect weapons are most effective in the immediate direction that they're aimed. I think that's really obvious. The spread gets less accurate or less impactful as it goes. Some weapons, you can actually adjust what they do. So in terms of, say, hey, I'm going to be shooting a rocket-propelled grenade at you, but instead of having it go in a straight line, it could zigzag around things. Like if there's this weirdo obstacle that's in the middle, you could, have it be a wave pattern that just gets larger over time, and eventually you might be able to get through, that kind of thing. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Oh yeah, diminishing returns as the shot scatters to the periphery. I already talked about invincibility and visibility. You can masquerade as a teammate. If you're on the opposing team, that could be a power up and temporary change of clothes or something like that, or you can just rip the clothes or armor off of somebody you killed. Provide temporary protection from weapon durability degradation, that kind of thing too, or perhaps invincible or unlimited fire, that kind of stuff. Isometric mode is going to be much of the same. However, we're also, by adding the Z-axis and being able to go into different heights, obviously you'll be able to climb and descend. Terrain may allow for hiding inside tunnels, as mentioned. Height is typically an advantage, unless if there's stuff up there that will kill you. Like, oh, I'm going to keep climbing to the rafters of this, we'll say, a factory building. Oh, shit, I just got lopped off by the fan. You got to be really careful with that shit.
Surprise, fucko!
Yeah, surprise
exactly.
fan. You got to watch out. You never know when they're going to sneak up on you.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, shit like that. Like, you have to be aware of what's going on. It's not just like, okay, I got to climb. That's in my instant win. I'm going to be able to just rain fire down. Yeah, no. It's not always going to be like that. So, you got to be really careful of things up there. Like, you never know. There might be a live wire or something on a platform. You just don't see it immediately. Oops, you fry. That kind of thing. So I want it to be more, you have to be aware of what's going on. And I want to make it really obvious that things are going to be in places. And it's really obvious to see what they are. But if you're too focused on the game itself, you're going to miss it.
Right.
But I want to make it so that it's not just some like, oh, I had to really study this and totally take my attention away from the game in order to figure this shit out.
Or it had to be purely trial and error or some
Exactly.
bullshit like that.
So,
right?
so people will be watching, and it'll essentially be just like a really blatant mistake. But you're going to be so overwhelmed by the other stuff going on that you might not see it.
Well, the thing is not being overwhelmed, but rather because it's so easy to follow things that you're going to be in the zone on it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of the opposite of overload. It's just, oh, look, I'm looking at these three things really intently and I'm ignoring the periphery. That's the kind of thing that I think people are going to fall into, and I think that's going to be funny, at least from a spectator thing. But
the biggest killer in NetHack.
Yeah, that's
That is
very true. It's very true. Oh
But-
shit, this Master Lich. Oh shit,
Tunnel vision.
This ant.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Something's just starting to chomp on your ankles, and you don't realize it until it's too late.
Yep.
Yep. So the other thing that I was thinking of too, environment effects. I know I'm all about that, but like if you push over a barrel of toxic waste and it starts eating through something, you're eventually going to fall through and probably get sludge on you, that kind of thing. Similarly, if you set something on fire, smoke rises. It's going to probably smoke people out of the rafters. So that kind of thing. So you'd be able to use both the environment itself, interacting with the environment by like setting shit on fire, or by having special weapons that are literally like smoke guns or whatever. So you reduce the visibility. You're going to get shot up if people know you're up there, and you're basically a sitting target. It's going to force people to move down, that kind of stuff. Similarly, people who are wearing extremely irony armor, and oh no, you got the really acidic water system that's going to start spraying down. Have fun, fuckers. They're going to want to get out of it from the lower level, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Objective really varies based on the game mode. It really depends how many players, what you're doing cooperatively or competitively, what kind of view you have, what if you're doing like you have to save blank or if you have to capture whatever item, that kind of shit. It really depends. I want it to be not one set game mode because people fall into it and after a while they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's just not fun. So I want to be able to have a thing where it's like, okay, give us the parameters that you're cool with, and let's just have random shit every match. Just get it to be different. So I kind of took that from fighting games, in particular the Smash Brothers series, where you're playing on random. There you go. Random CPU, random terrain, random level, random effects, that kind of thing. It's really cool. So that's that game.
That's it?
Yeah.
Anything else to add to that?
I wanted
That
to make
sounded
sure
very complex.
I wanted to make sure that I fleshed it out really well because this is my first twin stick game, and I wanted you to be impressed. Damn it!
Well, there's a lot to it. I am very impressed by that.
That feels like a on the same level as like the microprose games and stuff of the 90s, where like they just slather on so many levels of things to think about, and like you could slip up and still probably be okay, but like you definitely recognize when you have been more aware of things as you go on.
When shit goes south.
Yeah.
It goes south very fast.
Happens.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Very good. All right. Well, I've got a waveform-based endless runner.
Explain.
Audio surf on legs.
Sort of, a little bit. So instead of audio surf, where you're kind of going forward and going up and down, or this is a little side-on view. You run left to right, or right to left, depending on how it goes. So the playfield is a large oscilloscope-like arena, either starting at the left or the right, depending on the level. Player by default will start at either the extreme right or left. Shifts in levels may reposition the player at the right or the left, so the opposite of where they started. Obstacles appear at the opposite side, moving at varying speeds towards the player. Can either be attached to the wave itself, which we'll describe very shortly, or be fixed to the playfield, so in the background. The levels have a base waveform, sine, square, triangle, etc. Wave phase changes automatically at a given speed, so it's like... Can we see that?
Yeah.
There we go. Make sure this is TV, not radio.
Some
Right.
wavy Navy shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Increases or decreases phase shift as the level progresses. But the levels themselves they're not really discrete. There's transitions between them. You get a very short, brief period so say if a base waveform for a level changes from a sine to a square wave or whatever, it's not sudden. It's not like, oh shit, I got a quick adjust. No, you get like 3 or 4 seconds to kind
Suddenly
of adjust
stepwise.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you get a short break for the base waveform to change, and speed kind of ups or downs or kind of normalizes. No obstacles appear in this break period. You kind of get a little time to adjust to what's coming up. The controls. So the player can adjust the wave frequency or amplitude to move yourself up and down. At high enough amplitude, the player will jump off the waves, but then you're kind of at the mercy of gravity. It'll pull you back down to the base waveform as long as you're in the air.
Mm-hmm.
If the wave changes by player impact, say you land from a particularly high jump, it'll spread along the wave, like wave physics type thing.
Neat.
Which will impact oncoming obstacles. They either push them away or push them entirely off the field, depending on how powerful it is.
Nice.
You also have a one-time use per level emergency null wave, which will completely flatten the entire wave of the level and eliminate any obstacles on screen. So if things are getting really hairy,
Panic button.
Inverse frequency.
Exactly. It's the fuck it button.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. No, we are surviving for the next second or so. And then eventually the level will ramp back up to the normal waveform and the obstacles will start appearing again. So you get a little in-level breather.
If you don't use them, do you like accumulate them in like a fuck it bucket type thing?
They will stack up to 3.
Okay.
Yeah. But anything beyond that and you're wasting them. So although I think for scoring purposes, if you have excess ones, you could get a little score bonus for not using them. So it'll encourage very aggressive and or dangerous play. I like aggressive.
I was just gonna say that's your style of game.
Oh, it sure is. Safety? No, who fucking needs that? Let's go. Let's do it. And that's about it. There's nothing else flying at you other than the obstacles. You have to be very aware of what's coming up. You have to be very aware of what you have to deal with, namely your fuck it. Your fucking bucket. That's very good. I've actually never heard of that before. So
really?
Really?
I just wanted to say that really badly on stream.
It's really good. It's really good. I might adopt that in my stream parlance now. The fuck it bucket. That's really good.
It's what I called the rolls in 1942. Just like in that corner of the screen. It's just this is the fuck it bucket.
That's very true. That's very true. I didn't like 1942 very much.
It's slow paced.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one.
Oh, really? Oh,
I should really play
almost
that.
exclusively played. Whenever I come across 1942, I'm like, oh, wait, this isn't 1943. What the fuck? Yeah, but that's about it. Go as far as you can. Pretty much linear scoring. Nothing really to affect your progress too much, or really like impactful scoring, other than excessive fuck it uses there. Let's call it that way. All right, that's what I got.
Neat.
Next.
All right. Wow.
I have it up here.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be easier for me to read in this format anyway. So
Sure.
I have a ballistics tactics game. It's turn-based. It's played in a grid with hexes, squares. Who knows? I guess I didn't really decide on one of the two, but maybe switch it up between the two. Don't really care. It's a grid of some sort. And each player is assigned a number of units. It's kind of like a fog of war system. Yeah, you're just assigned just this group of units, and they can only see so far because of fog of war. Each player determines which units that they will want to move, what actions that they'll take. So, like, you'll have a certain number of, like, movement points or whatever per unit, and decide, hey, I want to move here or attack here. All of those cost points. Some actions take multiple turns in order to act. So, like, moving a really large unit will take, sometimes it's the travel time it takes for a projectile to move. Stopping a larger unit, like if it's got a huge amount of mass and momentum, like sometimes slowing down, especially given the terrain, if it's slippery, it needs some time to slow down. So when you also have the option to fire your weapons as part of, the points that you spend. And so you can choose to fire them. They won't be fired until you have determined that this is the end of your turn. But when they fire, there's, like at the end of the turn, I guess I should get into that quick. At the end of the turn, there's kind of like a resolution round where all of the move actions are taken simultaneously. All of the weapons are actually fired. The fired weapons actually like take turns and stuff. And this is all simultaneous. So like if any, if any projectiles like cross paths, there will be a collision and like, they'll interact accordingly.
So you take your time planning out your moves and your fires and whatever other actions, and then it all plays out at the end. Okay.
Yeah, so every player is planning all simultaneously, all in parallel, and they're deciding on what their moves. And after every player has said, okay, I'm ready, then everything plays out. But yeah, so some projectiles will move slower, some will move faster. If for whatever reason your projectile crosses the path of something else, maybe hits a target, or if it misses a target that you can see or is there, or if the projectile stops functioning as a projectile for some reason, there will be an indicator to let you know that this is what happened. Like it hit something, it missed and hit the ground. It was destroyed, as in like something destroyed it, or unknown, for situations when that kind of information or communication would be hindered. So like if you have some sort of jammer or something like that, that would prevent, like you from receiving that sort of information of what happened to it.
Okay.
There will also be a logistical element. You have to manage supply lines in order to keep those weapons firing and, finding the enemy. So, ammunition, as far as a unit is concerned, is finite, but there will be, places on the map where you can obtain like more ammunition, but you still have to transport it to, like the units and stuff. So there will be cities, ammunition depots, that kind of thing. You just have to like siphon those resources to your, to your units. And those sources are unlimited, so you can always go back for some more ammunition. And that's just going to make sure that, like, it doesn't turn into, oh, shit, literally everybody on this map is out of bullets. What now? We don't want to run into that. So all units that are adjacent to any of your units will automatically be seen, regardless of the type of terrain. Some units, however, can see more than one square or one, hex ahead, whichever kind of grid you're playing on. But they're, the ones that can see further are typically like scout units. They don't pack much firepower. They're not very strong. They're just, able to see really far. So that's what makes them useful. And extremely large and heavy guns will definitely take multiple turns to move, but they're also like, incredibly packed full of armor and can essentially just blow away anything in their path, assuming that there isn't, something else that's really fast and able to take them out. Some units are ground units, and those are easier to direct and move. air units, especially the large air units, so we're talking like giant airship type things, are going to have momentum. But they can also be ordered to blast full speed ahead and collide with anything in their path. Just don't lose them too far off the edge of the map or they're gone forever. So, yes, if you set an air unit in motion, and like it is, it's kind of like an airship thing, or, basically anything that just rides the momentum that it already has, it will continue moving until you order it to stop. There will be objectives that you can capture either on the ground, such as cities, or in the air, such as, I don't know, like air refuel depot bullshits. This is like, this is a steampunk type thing, so imagine what you will. So, they could grant bonuses such as boost to armor, additional sources of ammo, maybe, better control of the map. Like something in the air might be a weather control station, and you can like generate clouds that you can hide your shit in, stuff like that. Capturing an objective will require your units to occupy that particular square for a certain number of turns depending on the size of the objective. A city is going to take you a lot longer to capture than, some shack out in the middle of nowhere. Once you have captured it, you are no longer required to stay there. So you've essentially, it is yours now. But an opponent could swoop in and take it. Objectives that you have not captured produce no benefit to you whatsoever. You cannot get ammunition from an enemy's city. It doesn't work that way. So you, in order to maintain those supply lines, you have to essentially own them. Battles can be won either by destroying all enemy units, or some win conditions could be set to, like, you need to capture a certain number of objectives or objective points. So objective points meaning larger objectives are worth a larger amount of points. So like a city might be worth, 5 of the smaller, other objectives that you can capture. And then maps can also be customized and shared by players, can be played in network games, so you can go ahead and create your own maps and stuff like that, and then just go ahead, head-to-head with your friends, or just, random matchmaking online, and there you go. I would put a limit on, if you are going to create your own maps, every player needs to have, roughly the same amount of firepower, and you also don't get to pick your starting position that is randomized. That means you cannot create a map that you're going to totally dick over your opponent with by just customizing it and kind of, locking them off from the rest of the map. Can't do that.
Unless it's kind of like the you cut, I'll choose type thing, right?
No, starting places are entirely random.
Ah.
You don't get to pick where you drop, boys.
Have you played Advance Wars before?
I have. This was inspired by that.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right,
Yes.
good. Good.
It has been many years since I've played Advance Wars, but honestly, it is the one game that got me into tactics style gameplay in the first place.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm kind of on the same boat of that too.
Yeah.
Because the other tactics games before that was just
Yeah, they did not interest me at all. And then I played
And it's
Advance
like
Wars.
Advance
I'm like,
Wars,
I could get into
okay.
this.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
And so I felt right at home when I went to go play Fire Emblem. They were like, oh shit, this is amazing. Because I kind of brushed it off as just another tactical game I wasn't going to care about.
Right.
But then Tormod's all like, nah, dude, you got to play this. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. We're at the end of round 59 here. Any other final closing thoughts before we close out?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for watching and or listening, everybody. We'll leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from Mario Kart Wii entitled Wind in Your Hair by Overclocked University. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Adios.